Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Foots. We are on, I wouldn't say the eve of the combine, but we're pretty close. Combine is next week, and honestly, no special edits, nothing crazy. I honestly just want to talk to you guys about ball. I just want to just get my thoughts out there about the draft. I actually joined a Twitter space, and it was pretty cool. Like, that was my first time doing it. I don't really, I got kind of like Sky, Vach, Law, kind of, and then what I do. But it was cool. Talk to Tuck on there, J Tuck. That was really good work with him. Um, and it's not because I feel no type of way, nothing like that. It's literally because I'm doing so many things, making music, watching prospects, being a dad. So, and, obviously dealing with life. Still got my grandmother's flowers here. We holding it down. Uh, but nonetheless, it's been really cool. That was cool, and it's cool to see how much draft talk has picked up around the Cowboys. I know when I made my first video in 2016. If you want to fact check it, anybody go look at the first video that I put out. It was about Dak Prescott, and I said that he would be a steal. It was the day he was drafted. I said he would be a steal. He's been a 4 or 5 time Pro Bowl, or whatever it is, or three, whatever, however many Pro Bowls he's been to. He's been a really good quarterback for the Cowboys. So this is my time of year. I love projections. I love making and having opinion, and I can respectfully disagree or agree with people, and that's the beauty of it. One thing I do is I own my mistakes or my like. I'll say this: I wasn't very high on a guy like Steve Avila, and he came in, played for the Rams, and he played well. There were also guys who I was high on, and they did their thing. One guy being Jalen Petrie, other safeties, I mean, other receivers who I've been tapped in with. I remember I was one of the first people to really like the Tyler Smith pick. So I love the draft. I love this time of year, and I just really want to talk to you guys, just old school, just reading around, doing some research. Read one of Bruce Feldman's articles on some guys to watch out for the combine, and then some research that I've done, and for guys who I think make sense for the Cowboys at 24 or in the second round. But the combine, you go, you fact check, you get the information you need. I think tape trumps all, and you gotta trust your eyes. But we gotta know what Will and the Cowboys brass they're looking for size. They're looking for you got to be able to move because even though Dan Quinn's out there, Zimmer has a lot of that in his defense, and I think that Zimmer will put a higher. Uh, he's gonna put more of an emphasis on you better be a smart football player. So some of these guys on this list, defensively, for me, I think that makes sense for the Cowboys if they check off certain boxes. So I'll just go right down the list. And number one for me is Kingsley Sumateai. Te'o, 6'8", guys. 6'8". He's 302, so he's a little lanky. I mean, but he's 6'8". I think that you could build his body up. I don't want to tackle in the first round, but I think that Kingsley might, if, you know, there's some possible way he's staring at you in the second round. If this guy goes out and runs a 4.98, you could, I wouldn't say you want to develop him, but in the second round, it'd be hard not to do it with his athletic profile. It'd be really hard not to do it. That albeit you take care of linebacker and running back in free agency. Me personally, I don't want a lineman in the first round, center or tackle. I have my reasons. You just went Mozzie. You go back-to-back trench player who doesn't touch the ball, who doesn't affect the game in that way. I didn't think that your offensive line was the reason that you lost games. And, I made one of the examples last tonight was, tell me who the starting tackles for the Packers were. You can't. I know one of them is one of my best friends, but the truth of the matter is they develop those guys. You have guys, Awesome Richards, who, if you like them and you drafted them, at some point you need to play them. I just don't want to use that capital at pick 24 when Tyron Smith. I've been hard on Tyron, but he played 13 games and he was your best lineman last year. So no lineman in the first round. I'm gonna put that in the dirt, and I'm standing on that. Pick number two, well, player number two that I really want the Cowboys fans to watch is Troy Franklin. One thing about receiver drills, and you can tell the guy, like Zay Flowers went to the combine and blew it up. You can see his movement. You can see how he got in and out of breaks. And I was like, okay, this guy is the clear cut guy. I'm telling you now, when you guys see Troy Franklin run routes and when you see him stem and when you see him just move, if you can get past him not being the thickest athlete, I'm telling you now, Troy Franklin is one of those guys. 6'3", he's going to stand over a lot of the receivers, but he's going to be smoother than a lot of receivers. He's going to be faster than a lot of those receivers. He's in that receiver 6, receiver 5, but I'm not passing on a guy like this for another offensive lineman. When he can be a clear-cut number 2, come in, take the top off the defense, come in, run every route in the route tree. I'm just not passing on a guy like Troy Franklin. If he checks off those boxes, which I'm hearing, he's a 4-3 guy. I just don't know how you pass on him at 24. And then he turns out to be who? Maybe a Justin Jefferson type, and you're like, whoa. So Trevin Wallace, guys. Trevin Wallace, for me, he's been on my first favorites. He had a really good showing at the Senior Bowl. He clocked 22 miles per hour in a game this year. I want to see how he runs. He does remind me of Nick Bolton. If you come in, you ask him to play forward in this defense. I think that he could do that, and I think that he is in that Mike Zimmer mode of, Eric Kendricks. I just want to see how he moves laterally, but I will really be interested in Trevin Wallace. Keon Coleman. Make no mistake about it. Keon Coleman, make me look smart and go out there and run a 4.4. If he runs a 4.4 at 217, 6'4", what are we doing? What are we doing? Cowboys fans, what are we doing? I mean, you had Jordan Travis throwing on the ball. Jordan Travis Dak. Yeah. I'm going to go Dak Prescott. I'm going to go a guy who everybody says, oh, you need a receiver who can separate. Well, you do until you have a freak of nature athlete who can play above the rim, who has great catch radius, and oh, by the way, he's fast and can run past the DB and he can jump over a DB. Sign me up for Keon Coleman. If he checks off the boxes, let me know. Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy are really interesting to me because when Mitchell was at Georgia, I saw a good film. Mitchell last year, I saw a good film, but I don't know how explosive he is, and I don't know if he does anything great to where I say he's right now better than Michael Gallup. Now I could be wrong. Texas fans, let me know if I'm wrong, but I just don't know if there's one thing that he does great that I say is he like right now. Keon Coleman plays above the rim better than Michael Gallup. Right now, Keon Coleman after the catch is better than Michael Gallup. I can't say that about Adonai Mitchell. I want to see how fast he is. I want to see how he looks running routes. So that's one for me. Jalen Wright, running back Tennessee. I'm hearing he's going to run a 4.3. On film, I saw kind of a boomer bust player, but I do also see some of the Alvin Kamara vibes. If he goes out there and blazes, he's going to be a second round pick just because somebody's going to say, well, I'm getting Jahmyr Gibbs. And you see some similarities there. I wouldn't go that far, but it'll be interesting to see how Jalen Wright runs. I like his film a lot. He was a honorable mention for my running backs. I don't know if his vision is on the level of a guy like Blake Corum, or obviously somebody who I really love in Trey Benson. So I don't know if his vision is on that level, but the athletic ability, he will run away from you from any part of the field. So paired with another back, I think it can make a lot of sense. And last but not least, and I want Cowboys fans to look at me and listen to me when I say this, Bo Braid is Jalen Petrie. And if you go watch the Ohio State game from this year, you draft him in the first round. And if you watch that Houston defense, and Cowboys fans should remember this, Jalen freaking Petrie was all over the field when he played Dallas. Another thing is this. Mike Zimmer is not married to these safeties. So Tyler Newman, Bo Braid, those guys, if they do things better than the safeties on this roster, which I think Braid, if I'm hearing he's going to run a 4.3, he plays that way. He can play in zone. He can play in man. He really is Brian Branch. And you guys saw what Brian Branch was able to do to Jake Ferguson last year. Like, that was real. You guys saw how Jalen Petrie played us 2 years ago. I think there's still a lane for that in the NFL. Good safety, like great safety play. So I'm telling you, second round, if he's hanging around, second, third round, dog, like he's one of those guys. If you address linebacker again, like I said, you address linebacker in free agency, you be hard pressed to pass on this player. I'm telling you, Maryland put Darnell Savage in the league. They put the corner in New York in the league. I'm close to this program. Bo Braid is a really good player. Matter of fact, I'm talking myself into him so much, I'm gonna do film on him just to show you guys. All right, I just wanted to get in front of the camera and talk to you guys. Nothing fancy, You guys let me know who are your guy, what athletes you're watching at the combine. It's your boy Foots as always. Thank you guys always for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Let me know what you guys think of this video. I think the combine is gonna be one to remember just because of so many athletes and then the quarterbacks. And I remember watching CJ Stroud last year. It was like, whoa, he was in control. Every ball looked good. So it'll be interesting. And one of the interesting things is when you watch Stroud last year, he didn't really know these receivers, but he took that leadership role. Bryce Young, who was my favorite, I still like Bryce, but he didn't want to throw. Like, I don't subscribe to this don't compete stuff. You're slotted where you're slotted. Go out there and compete. What are we doing? This is the ultimate competitive sport. If you don't want to compete, that scares me. If your agent's telling you, "Oh, don't throw," for what? You a football player. Throw the ball, bro. I don't know. I'm so passionate about football. I love y'all. It's your boy Foots.